Okay. Hi, Emeka. Are you with us?
Hi, hello.
Um,
Hi, good
yeah,
evening, everyone. Good evening, Agatha.
good evening. I was going to
Did you
ask
hear
you
me?
for your travel. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me as well? Can you hear me? Well, can you hear me? Let me be sure it's not from my end. Emeka, can you hear me now?
I can.
Awesome, awesome. Welcome. So I'm recording this meeting
Thank you.
for recording sake, and we're going to be having the recording on our YouTube channel so that everyone can access it, especially people that are unable to be on the call right now. So welcome everyone. Welcome to another episode. In fact, our very first episode of Sustainability Matters for 2024. We're going to be having these every Saturday. We started last year, and this is the very first one for 2024. So, welcome everyone and Happy New Year. The last time we were on a call like this was last year. So, welcome back and Happy New Year. Today, we're having Mr. Chukwuemeka Azubuike. I hope I have not murdered your name. We're going to be having Mr. Chukwuemeka with us, the founder of DPD Online, an online platform that connects skilled workers with development work. So I'm just going to give him the opportunity to introduce himself. I've seen his profile and it's really impressive what he's doing, but I'll let him do a better job of introducing himself to us. Okay, over to you, Emeka.
Great. My name is Dr. Chukwuemeka Azubuike. I'm co-founder and CEO of Desktop Platform for Development.
Awesome.
We're an alternative labor market for mission-driven work in Africa. Um, we have two flagship platforms, DPD Online and then Manage Medics. And then we are about 3 years thereabout into building this platform. Before now,
Mm,
um, I worked for 6 years in one of the top NGOs foundations in Nigeria, Health Strategy and Delivery Foundation, where
mm,
I left as a senior associate in health finance and health systems. And before that, I did a master's in health economics and policy, health in SDA Bocconi, Milan, Italy. And then before then, I worked in clinical practice for 4 years,
wow.
um, straight out of medical school in University of Lagos. So that's my long and short. That's a brief background about me. I've worked in the development space. I'm a development guy, I would say. Um, work across mainly in health, but now with DPD, we've now forayed into different other areas. So my domain expertise is in health systems, right?
Mm,
Healthcare and health systems. So everything health systems, health financing, maternal and child health, and all that. That's my forte.
yeah.
Uh, by way of work with DPD now, we're doing a couple of things in agribusiness,
Mm,
development financing,
wow.
and even more, very recently climate change
Mm.
uh, and all that. So that's main in summary. Over.
Well, awesome. I keep forgetting you're a doctor. I need to put some respect on it. I've been meeting a lot of doctors these days that have probably diverted into other fields of work. I find it very interesting how you can spend so many years, so much effort doing and studying medicine, and then pivoting into another field of work. What inspired that?
I mean, very interesting. So the way is, and what my answer, my short answer to people is this: you can either diagnose the patient or you can diagnose the system, right? Take the
Wow.
law, take the lawyers for example. Not all lawyers are litigators, right? Some of them are into corporate and commercial, technology law, intellectual property law. In fact, in the UK, by the time you graduate, you are either a solicitor or a barrister. In Nigeria, we have a fused system where you are both a barrister and a solicitor, but not all barristers and solicitors go to court. You
Yeah.
know, that's the way. So for us here in the medical sphere, we think that not all of us can work in the clinics. We know the issues with our health system.
Mm.
It's better some of us foray into other areas of administration. You know,
Yeah.
instead of having accountants, with all due respect, but having someone without a health experience
Yeah.
manage or administer our health system. So, for example, uh, at one time we had someone who didn't have a health background, being a health minister, right? And we don't think you have enough context. You understand?
Wow.
So it's better to have a few of us going into administration, public health, other areas of the health system, for better.
Wow. Do you know what? I've never heard it said in that way, that you can either solve the problem or diagnose the problem, right? Or solve the system that creates the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to work under a medical doctor who pivoted into the oil and gas industry. And every time I would ask him, he would always say, follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never heard it said in
Mm.
kind of mission driven way. So that's really impressive. Welcome, Emeka. So what inspired you to
Okay.
create a freelance platform? Specifically for development consultants, that's not something you hear about every other day. In fact, I don't know of a platform where consultants meet aside from physical consulting firms, right? Where you say, okay, all of us are together in this firm. I'm a member of this firm. I don't know of any online platform. Personally, there could be actually where consultants meet and say, these are the services we provide. I don't know anyone who has been able to provide that platform for skilled workers. So, what inspired this? How did you come to that point where you said, okay, this is a need, let's solve it?
Great question. So for let me put it out there. We didn't set out to develop a platform,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Before leaving my former place of work, the NGO where I worked for 6 years,
Right.
I sort of crafted my exit strategy, right? And
Okay.
so in my last few months, I sort of tried to get a top firm to outsource some work to me, you know, and then they did that. In fact, I wrote the proposal for them. I handled everything for them end to end, and then they got the project with the agreement that they will outsource to me, and this is going to be my exit strategy
Mm-hmm.
from my previous place of work, and I will be on that for the next 6 or 7 months as an independent um, contractor, and that
Yeah.
was it. In the process of doing that, I tried to get other guys to work on that project with me. Other guys who had left that NGO, who are in other businesses, who are even freelancing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we got together. I think one of them is on this call. We got together and did the work. Now, thereafter, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'll come here. I'm with you.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you. We can hear you. Hello, Chukwuemeka.
Hello,
Did you lose your connection? I can hear
are you
you.
there?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
I can hear you. I can hear you. I think I lost you a bit.
Yeah, but we're good now.
Okay. So thereafter, while on a project, I got a lot of calls
Mm-hmm.
from other firms asking me, "Oh, do you have somebody that can do this? Do you have somebody that can do
Yeah.
this?" So in the sense, I was a handyman,
Mm-hmm.
linking people to skills, so to speak. I would ask me for someone who has serious data analysis skills, and I can.
Mm-hmm.
I think I lost you again. I don't know what's going.
Yeah.
My network is
I can
fine.
almost swear that you use MTN. What network are you using?
Yeah, can I? Let me switch to another network.
Okay. All
Let,
right.
let me switch to another network, please.
All right. No problem.
So I'm actually using Airtel, but
Oh,
let me
okay.
switch to another network, please.
Okay.
Perhaps that might solve. Yeah. Okay, I think I have switched now.
Hopefully, it's better
Yeah.
this time
So
around.
this is quite unusual because my network is really good at home. Just 1 second, please. Uh, uh-huh. Okay. So yeah. So another thing along the way, we sort of saw that a couple of guys in the academic circles, right, were
Mm-hmm.
also interested. So my work actually involved me discussing with a lot of guys in academia, trying to get
Mm-hmm.
them involved in the development work. And that's quite rightly so because in academia you have a steady home for research. So my former NGO, there was this project that involved me talking to a lot of academics, trying to involve them, bridging that gap between development work and academia. That did not work very well. So I tried to see how I can continue with this. So discussing with a couple of them to just sort of join me in this, and they seemed open to it. So then I said to myself, okay, I think there's something here, right? So perhaps we
Mm-hmm.
need to find a way to commercialize this. So it was only
Yeah.
then we started thinking about coming up with a platform, and there are many ways to sort of bridge the gap, solve this problem. There are many ways, but we sort of felt that we could bridge that gap using a particular value proposition, which is bridging the gap between academia and development space. So
Mm-hmm.
bringing a lot of university lecturers on board who have expertise in public health, environmental sciences, statisticians, economists, you know, um, agribusiness or agricultural extension lecturers, bringing them on board to sort of help. During the during the ASO strike, we had a couple of
Mm-hmm.
lecturers who supported us on the platform, and they got money for that. Even while striking, they got money on the platform. The
Yeah.
platform. So we felt that this was a good value proposition. So only then did we think about it that way. And then what we then said, okay, so let's rethink the problem. How can we solve this problem in a way that directly affects academics? And we said, looking at the space, asking questions, we asked a lot of questions. So we think
Mm-hmm.
that there are a couple of issues, right? There's actually an unemployment or underemployment issue, even among intellectuals, even among those in academic spaces, right? There's a misalignment between um, the academic hubs and the labor market, right? The
Yeah.
skills they teach in schools are not almost not fit for the labor market, right? And so there's a
Mm-hmm.
it's a poor signaling between academia and the labor market. And so you have a lot of highly skilled, qualified guys locked into poorly paying jobs in the universities while they were their
Right.
time there. And then, given the current economic issues, you have poor wage conditions, frequent strikes, labor issues. Many of them are shipping out of the continent, the
Yeah.
Jackpot syndrome. You understand? So this
Yeah.
was this is actually our problem, the way we have framed the problem on the talent side. But we also believe that there's a larger problem on the client side, the NGO, the mission driven organization side, where you still
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of organizations finding it hard to get the right talent to do certain things. You there's this data that says that I think the WEF data, right? Only 44% of companies reported find 44% of companies reported difficulty in finding skilled workers. You know,
Wow.
um, I think AFDB's data, you have over 50% of firms in Africa struggle to find employees with the right skills. So in essence, you have increased search costs, right? An increased cost of hiring, right?
Yeah.
So why do I need to hire somebody or pay somebody a full year salary when I know that the job the person is actually going to do, the technical aspect is about 3 months or 4 months
Mm.
worth. Why not freelance somebody a contractor? Why do you have to pay for your insurance, for your pension, for your housing allowance, when
Yeah.
most of the job is going to be um, is more technical and it's not going to be very administrative. So outsource that. So in that sense, we came up with this idea of having a freelancing platform that sort of links both sides, just like Fiverr or Upwork, but
Mm-hmm.
for the development space. Over.
Wow. While you kept speaking, the thing that kept coming to my mind was, at what point did you realize this was a lot of work? Because personally, I've also founded a couple of things, and I thought, okay, there's a problem, and I feel the strong need to solve this problem. And then when you put your feet into the waters, you're like, oops, this is too much work. There's a lot to be done, especially now that we're bringing tech into the matter, right? So we're talking about a platform that requires a developer, requires this, requires that. At what point did you feel like this was too much work? Where do I begin? Did you feel overwhelmed at any point developing this platform? I'm just jumping the gun now to ask you this.
So this is my second foray, my second journey in the tech space, right? And I sort of tried to bring in the mistakes I made in my first startup into this one.
Yeah.
So what one thing myself and my and tech chief technology officer have realized is that we start with the problem and not the technology, right? The
Mm-hmm.
tech is going to be an enabler, but you have to
Yeah.
focus on the problem first. What's the problem? Now, most people like to solve for fintech problems and all that. And in this space, I realized that a lot of people are just interested in bubbles. The real problems in Africa are very wicked, and it's not very easy solving them, right? And so when we got into this space, we realized that there are many ways we could fail, right? There's one execution risks, there's co-innovation risks, there's adoption chain risks, and I'm going to break that down for you. So yes, so execution risks. So bringing the product to market, so finding the right talent, well, your team, your internal team. It's a freelancing platform, so essentially most of the work we do is remote. So remote work essentially. So which means the team, the in-house team has to be small, right? And you have to ensure that you have the right talent. That's one. Now, also, the getting the right talent for technology. That was a bit of an issue, but luckily we had someone who was with us from the previous startup, right, and um, just pivoted into this project with us. So that was not quite hard. But we also have issues with getting consultants, like the marketing side, reaching out, the outreach side. So trying to get um, consultants to see value in what you're doing. And the only way to do that is by doing. Are you with me? Hello, are you with me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes,
That's
yes.
fine. Um, Agatha, are you there?
Hi, Chukwuemeka. I realized I lost connection. I hope
Okay,
I
so,
didn't miss so much there.
yeah.
So I'm joining from my other phone. Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I apologize for that. I don't
No
know what's
problem.
going on with my Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm. All right. So
You can hear me now, right? We're good.
I can hear you. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Please
Of course,
continue.
this are some of the issues with virtual meetings. We have to accommodate all these issues with the internet. You know.
Yes.
So as I was
Yes.
saying, I realized early that compared to your typical venture, or a
Mm-hmm.
startup where you have to focus on product development,
Yeah.
marketing, this and that. A key issue for someone like me is that I also have to
Mm-hmm.
consult,
True.
right? You also have to consult
Right.
because the work you're doing is in development space. While you're building a platform, you can't lose sight of the main consulting work, which is writing proposals, interfacing with clients, getting to do the work. So imagine doing this, and also doing the other parts, product marketing and other things with a small
Mm-hmm.
team, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's so they have issues of working on the business and working in the business. So that's
Mm.
a big execution risk. I mean, if we had
Yeah.
all the money in the world and we have all the talent, I would just say, oh, we have a specialist in healthcare, specialist in development financing, and they all become leads while I focus on the business. But we can't do things that way, right? We have to. We want to grow organically. We want to have the right talent in the right places, and so a key execution issue for us is about working on the business and working in the business. So that's on the execution side, on the execution risk. But we also have
Right.
co-innovation risk, right? And this is something that most people don't realize, that sometimes we see things from a very narrow competitive
Yeah.
lens. I think
Yeah.
you might need to mute. Yeah, there's a background noise there. Okay, thanks. So we don't see things from a co-innovation lens where you're saying, who needs to innovate for me to be successful? So who do I need to innovate with, right? Um, so for us, we have to look at things that way. So we're not just looking at trying to beat the competition. We're trying to make the competition irrelevant. So in that sense, we have to look at the system and say, who needs to innovate with us? So in that sense, a key entity that needs to innovate with us are the universities. Can you hear me? The
Yeah.
universities
We can hear you.
have to innovate with us, because if you're going to onboard a lot of academics on our platform, we have to find a way to um, make it appealing to them. So without raising any conflict of interest flags, look at how lecturers' roles and responsibilities are divided into teaching, research, grant making. Now in Africa, I think that the institutions have to realize that, considering the poor economic the poor economic issues in the country and the continent, and the rising inflation or other things, we have to explore freelancing. So allow lecturers freelance, right? That is one way for them to innovate. And if they do that, then we are successful. And we have to push that narrative so they can see that they can actually make more money doing their work without raising any conflict of interest issues. And for us, we have to then redesign our own incentives in such a way that for every project they get on the platform, a percentage goes to the lecturer as their fees, but a proportion goes to the university where that lecturer is domiciled, right, to support that. That's our own way of sort of bridging that gap and creating incentives for everyone to be happy, right? So that's by way of co-innovation risk. So in that sense, we need the universities, our university system, to work very well for us. The third area, which is a challenge and also a risk, is adoption chain risk, which is who needs to use the product before the final consumer. So in this sense, you have ASU, right? So it means that ASU has to be on our side. We have to interact with ASU, bring them on our side so that they can expose their union members or the association members to us. And I believe a lot of fintech organizations are seeing things this way also. For example, if you're implementing a fintech app, right, a co-innovation risk for you is that the banks are not innovating with you. So imagine the fintech days, the heydays of fintech when it was coming up. Imagine the banks did not innovate with InterSwitch, right? What would have happened? So that's a big co-innovation risk, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if institutions, government, those who pay their workers did not innovate with InterSwitch when they're building a payment infrastructure. That's an adoption chain risk. So this is how these are some of the risks and how we are overcoming them in the space. We're not yet done. It's a continuous fight, but we think that with the right incentives, we will get it done. Over.
Hold on, Emeka. I like to hear when founders know their stuff. right? Especially because I speak with a lot of founders, and sometimes when they are talking about their solution, you can clearly hear the challenge they are going to be facing in the future, even currently, right? And you can also see that they are aloof of this. So it's good to see that you're covering all your bases. But what were the early, you've been doing this for the last 3 years, what were the early challenges that may have seemed insurmountable, that you probably thought, okay, we can't get past this? Is this solution even worth pursuing? Did you have any of those, or it's been a smooth ride, quote and unquote?
I would say, in fact, some of those challenges have not been solved. It's still it's a continuum, so it progresses from time to time. So one major issue we faced was activating or architecting the client side. So proving yourself so much that clients cannot do without you, right? And we still have to, we're still doing that, right? And so, because the donor space is driven by personal connection, right? So I don't have all the I don't have relationship with all the donor players and NGOs in Nigeria. So we have to continuously build that rapport with them, right? Beyond just having a platform, you still have to attend meetings. You still have to socialize, attend webinars, attend symposia, conferences, and all those kind of things. Now, those things take away from the work you are doing. And so, remember what I mentioned about working in the business versus working on the business, right?
Right.
So if the time I spend going for conferences and going for meetings and all that takes away time I can spend, right, working on the business, right? So that's one issue. The other issue is funding. I mean, some will say, oh, for what we really want to do, we need a good good backing from a VC firm, right? Startup fund and all those kind of things, so we can move faster. However, I like to do from a very evidence driven approach. I like to prove that what we are doing is viable, and then the money comes after, right? And that has been a challenge because some people prefer, oh, I have an idea, give me money, right? But we are solving a real problem here.
Yeah.
My happiness is going to a VC firm to say, hey, we need your money, but we don't need your money. If you don't give us money, we'll do what we want to do. If you give us money, we'll do it faster. However, we are solving a big problem. This is what we are solving. This is the impact. These are the early outcomes, right? And this is what we can be. What we want to be is not the next Fiverr or the next Upwork. We want to unleash Africa's intellectual talent for development. Our motto is harnessing Africa's talent for development. Before you harness it, you have to organize it. Africa's talent is very ubiquitous, very scattered everywhere, and you need to aggregate and arrange the talent and expose that talent to those who are willing to pay for the services. Now, in organizing the talent, you have to work backward integrate with the universities producing them to say, hey, see the skills we are saying. We think you should try to reconfigure the curriculum to focus on these areas, right? So instead of doing just rolling out curricula on, let's say, choose anything, philosophy or something, we look at how we can redesign that curriculum to focus on development. So we are, instead of just dealing with philosophy, we are talking about philosophy of development, the underpinnings of development, how development should work, what are the philosophical underpinnings of solving problems in Africa. Do you understand? So that way, everybody who's entering Africa is entering with the mindset of, anybody who's entering the labor market is entering with the mindset of change, development, trying to solve issues. If I entered the university knowing fully well that I wanted to do public health, I may not have done medicine, right? If I enter into university knowing fully well that there's a way I can work at the system level, I may not have done medicine, right? So it's the same for a lot of other people, right?
Yeah.
We can it's a spectrum, and we can unleash the talent, but it's going to be very intensive. It's going to be demanding, but it's possible. Right? So that's how I approach um, um, meeting someone who can give me money, right? With the mindset that this is what we have done, this is what's possible, and if you give me the money, I, I will do it faster. But if you don't give me the money, we won't crash.
Okay, so you've mentioned two things. You've mentioned funding, and then you mentioned architecting the client side as well. Can you run us through the platform from, let's assume I'm a new sign up and I'm coming as a talent on DPD Online. Can you walk us through the platform from the sign up phase to getting clients, finding
Okay.
jobs? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So it's a managed platform in the sense that at the early stage, at the early stages, we have to build a lot of QC checks, quality control measures in place. Then once the platform architects and lifts up, we can then reduce a couple of things, allow a lot of interactions. But now we're trying to ensure that we don't um, we exempt or we exclude unwanted talent, and we include talent that are specific to our niche. Now that said, once you sign up on the platform, set up your profile, um, you have I think in about 20 minutes you can set up a profile, right? Um, we emphasize that you sell your skills very well. So unlike LinkedIn or other platforms, we allow you to say, oh, I can use Excel, advanced Excel skills for 10 years. So you see there, advanced Excel, 10 years. Power BI, 5 years. Um, Technical writing, 10 years experience. Um, Agricultural extension services, 15 years experience. So you highlight those talent, those skills. That's one thing we do. Aside putting your own bio and other things, and your CVs, your references and all that. Once that is done, you submit, right, with your references. Um, it hits our back end. Our admin looks at it and schedules that person for a discussion. First discussion, we try to filter to know if this person is a fit for our platform. Can you hear me? Are you with me? Hello, can anyone hear me? Hello, can anyone hear me? Okay,
Yes, we can hear you.
okay, all right, fine. So we know if this person is a fit for our platform. There's a background noise there. Hello. Okay. So once that is done, once we ascertain that this person is a fit for our platform, we onboard that person. Onboarding means the person, a staff, our customer support takes that person through the mechanics of the platform. Sign up, sorry, um, adjusting your profile, images, pictures, and other things. How to use the platform, how to um, um, navigate the system, privacy policy, terms of use, those things are there. So we take that person through that process, right? Once that is done, that person is set up for projects, right? Um, Now, you as a consultant, you're not hustling for projects. Do you understand? So unlike Fiverr, Upwork, where you have to market your services actively, or um, buy some chips or
Yeah.
coins to sort of sell yourself. We don't do that. I, we understand that that is a way for Fiverr or Upwork to make more money, but we don't allow you to market your services. No. So based on the skill sets you have set on the platform, the algorithm, when the client requests for certain thing, the algorithm gives the client options. So if you have set your talent the way you're supposed to set it, so if you have more than 7 years or 10 years experience in the game, you say I'm a technical expert. If you have less than that, it's a project lead. If you have less than that, you associates, way less analysts. So those are four archetypes of consultant on the platform. So based on what you have set, the algorithm fetches you. right, and exposes you to the client. So the
Yeah.
algorithm will not fetch me as a healthcare person for a, let's say, a core agricultural project or a education project. We have several streams on the platform. So we have agribusiness and food security. There's education and literacy. There's healthcare and water and sanitation. There's gender and inclusive growth, climate change and environmental sustainability, and development financing. So those are the
Mm.
six value streams, right? And so what I have skills in healthcare and some other aspect of development financing. So if a client requests for certain things, let's say I want to write a concept note for a project, and this is what I need. The algorithm fetches gives like options for that to that client. To that sense, we're not mandating you to perform any extra activity, right, beyond signing up and showcasing yourself very well. Right now, when that is done, once it's a transaction, right, once the client sees your profile and likes it, and engages you. Everything is on the platform. Everything is on the platform. So the engagement is on the platform. The forms you fill, the contract, everything is on the platform, right? We also added an escrow feature and a messaging feature, so you can chat with the client. So, for example, you have your rates set. Say my rate is about $100 or 100 naira per hour. Is on the platform. Once the client agrees, right, and sends me a high level description, I will have to respond with a proposal to the client. Oh, this is how I approach the work. This is my rates. This is how many days it's going to take, and so the system will calculate the cost. So if I say my rate is $500 per day, for example, and it's going to take me 10 days, right? So that's $500 times 10. That's about $5,000, right? If once I send it to the client sees it on his interface. The client say, "Hey, send me a message. Hey, your money is too much. My budget is $3,000. You can renegotiate on the platform, right? And you can change your fees and say, okay, I will do it within your budget, and we send that proposal to the client. The client sees it and likes it, and accepts to work with you. Now on the platform, one thing that we have ensured is that the client has to pay first before work is started, right? So what that means is,
That's good
probably,
news.
yeah, a lot of platforms you hear that, oh, I did the work and the client did not pay. No, what we try to do is to build a bridge or intermediary between the client and the consultant, such that there's some level of trust. So we built an escrow on the platform, right? So as a client, you have to pay. You have pay stack on our platform, right? But once you pay either bank transfer or pay stack, the money does not go to the consultant. It stays with our escrow system, right? Now it leaves your account as a client and goes to the escrow system as a temporary hold for the consultant to see it and start the work. Now you can set milestones. You can say, oh, we will do first tranche of 25%, second tranche of this, and then the final balance will come. So the escrow understands that. So once the first milestone is reached and the consultant requests for his money, that percentage is supposed to go to the consultant. And so you have to verify as a client that this work is complete. Once you verify and accept, then the money is then released to the consultant on the platform, not in the consultant account. So it's on the consultant's account on the platform or wallet. And the consultant can then say, "Oh, DPD, release my money into my account," and then we release that money. Do you understand? So that's the way it works. There's reviews. You can review both sides. A freelancer can review a client can review a freelancer, and over time that informs your overall score on the or grade on the platform. And so that's the way it is. By way of services, we have two types of services. There's the single gigs and the managed services, right? So single gigs means you can go to our platform. Sorry, there's one more. There's a marketplace. So single gig is Agatha is a consultant. I am the client. I'm looking for somebody, one person, a short project, just someone to write a proposal for me, one person, and I interact with Agatha. and say, Agatha, help me. I want to do this. This is your rates. I'm going to pay this. The platform takes a 20% commission, right? Agatha takes 80%, right? That is our approach. Now, what we're trying to build now is a situation where we, as an incentive, if, for example, Agatha is from the university, we want to build an incentive such that from our 20%, we give about 1.5% to the university where you're from. And you, Agatha, give 7.5% to the university where you're from. So in that sense, the university takes 9%, right?
Interesting.
As a way to support you as a lecturer to freelance. So that they're not saying, oh, but Agatha is using our time as our lecturers to freelance here. No, we're all sharing from the win. You know, that's a way to, because in Africa you have to work on incentives a lot. The system is very funny, and so you have to work with incentives a lot. So that's for those who are lecturers. If you are an independent consultant, it doesn't apply to you. If you're a graduate student, say in Harvard or anywhere trying to freelance with us, it doesn't apply to you. This is for just academics. Now, aside the single gig, we have the managed services, which essentially is, oh, I'm from XYZ consulting firm. We need a team of guys to run a project for us for 3 months. DPD, we're outsourcing that management capacity to you to find, execute, and manage that process, and we'll pay you for that. This is our budget. We can't exceed this budget. This is what we're going to work on. So DPD has to find those guys. We can say, oh, this is not going to be possible because the top guys for this project, this are their rates. So maybe you have to review your own budget. So we handle all that at the back on the platform and execute. Now we have a third angle, which is the marketplace. The marketplace essentially is just go and find anybody you want. Just go and find. You can search by name, look for anybody you want, right, and try to work with them. So essentially, if you look at the single gig is you putting your specifications and saying, I need this person. Algorithm fetch me 4 options. The marketplace is now you looking at everybody's picture on our platform, looking at all the content and say, oh, I like this specific person. So it's a different. The difference is casting your net in the sea versus using a fishing line and hook.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's how our platform is nuanced. Over.
This is really comprehensive. Well done, Chukwuemeka. What you guys are building is really solid, especially as regards incentivizing the schools. It means that you know your market, because Nigerian ecosystem is a very tough place to do business. If there's nothing in it for the other party, they are not interested, basically. So how do you manage grievances? Because while you were running us through the platform, I was just thinking about the fact that if I have an issue with a client, or a client has an issue with a consultant, how do we manage that? Has there been a case like that before? How was it managed? Or you've not had any such case?
So first of all, we have a legal person on the platform, right? Who is part of this course also, right? So we have a lawyer who is our legal person who is also on platform. So once there's any contestation, legal issue, it goes to his domain. So it goes to him, right? So typically our support person escalates it to the legal person and for him to review, right? Now typically, if there are any issues and it's on the side of, most times it's likely going to be on the side of the consultant.
Okay.
The escrow feature helps. So we can then ascertain, okay, perhaps we might have to compensate the consultant for the work he has done so far, so that he's not left burnt, but we have to give back most of the money to the client. Now, this has not happened before. I'm just giving you, hypothetically speaking, this is how it will likely work, right? And let me also highlight here that not all activities, right, happen on platform. So for us, when you're building a tech platform, it will be very hypocritical if I say, oh, everything we do happens on the platform. You meet some clients who say, yeah, I don't have time for this, your platform. This is what I want to do. This. So you are on the back end, we don't have to take you to the platform. This is how technology works in Africa, because not everything happens. You have to actively move a lot of traction to the platform, through incentives, through coding, through marketing and all that. So they can see why it's better to do the services on the platform rather than working in the background. Because you can't chase a client away if if he says, I don't want to do this on the platform, because that's just they're leaving money on the table. So we have to slowly build that traction so that you can work on the platform. So you know that it's better to do everything on the platform rather than off platform. You understand? So I would say, long story short, a lot of the grievance issues have not happened, right? Most times it's really communication between the client and the consultant saying, "Oh, we can't do. We're not happy with this. Can you change this? Can you change that?" And that's the end.
Interesting. Interesting. So, have you noticed any notable trends or patterns in the types of projects or skills that are in demand on your platform, or even the type of signups you're having, the signees? Have you noticed any pattern? Do you have more of climate consultants? Just let us know, what pattern have you noticed?
So charity begins at home. So my initial cohort of consultants will typically come from the health sector, right? That's the health systems. But we're having
Yeah.
foray into agribusiness, climate change consultants, gender experts, coming on board. So we're pushing for all that. A lot of the lecturers we're onboarding are um, from the north and School of Agriculture. Many of them have done a lot of work. I was reviewing a CV of someone um, in a university in Sokoto. My God, if you see the work this guy has done, right? If you see the work he has done, if you see his CV, wow. But you're asking him, so why aren't you out there? Why are you languishing in the university, right? And this is what we can help you do. So we want more of these guys to join the platform. So we have a lot of guys who have done a lot of work in that area. But what we're seeing is guys from healthcare, guys from agribusiness, guys from we have only one educational consultant, and that's one area we have to do better in, right? But in terms of skills, we've seen a lot of a lot of demand for skills in qualitative analysis, use of Python, SPSS, data. Do you know someone who can do this research work, who can write a paper for us, right? Because writing a paper is not easy,
It's
So people
not at all.
want guys who can take that off them. So if you know how to do technical writing a lot, then that's good. Um, in the agricultural marketplace, people who know how to, who have experience with building agricultural tech hubs, right? That's agricultural extension services. That's also in demand. So these are some of the things we are seeing so far.
Interesting. I'm also particularly interested in the gender sign up ratio. Have you had more males sign up or more females? I feel like I already know the answer to this, but shock me.
Well, well. So first of all, let me also highlight that um, interestingly, they are in the whole development space. Speaking on a macro level, I think that you have more ladies more females in the development space than males. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I think on the macro level. But on the platform, what we are seeing is about um, uh, 55-45%, right? Um, of course, the guys are favored, right? So you have 55% of guys, 45% of females, right? However, we also are seeing that on the project side, there's a lot of push for gender intentionality on the projects. So, for example, Gates Foundation is pushing something on gender lens, gender intentionality. They have a gender integration marker that sort of um, benchmarks whether your project is gender intentional. So when you're doing the design phase, while you're writing the proposal, they try to elicit how you can make your project more gender intentional. So please, if you're not going to employ 50% of the field or the data collectors as if you're not going to employ 50% as females, don't even do it. We want to see 50% of your data collectors as females. We want to see 50% of your supervisors as females, right? So those kind of things are there for you to implement, and that's a good one because we think there's a social return on gender investment in development programming, right? So I think for every $1 you invest in gender project or gender intentionality, it yields more than what you're investing. So we think that there's a social return on that investment, right? But in terms of sign up, in terms of the total number of consultants we have who are females, so there's a 55-45% split. We have about 73 consultants now, and that percentage, that ratio is actually closing uh, closing very, very fast. So I would say before we get to our 200 consultants, we might have more females than guys. Over.
Awesome. 45-55 is not a bad ratio at all. That's
Yeah.
that's better than I thought it would be, honestly. Before I ask about what the future is looking like for DPD Online, what does business development look like for a platform like this and for the founder of a platform like this? I know you mentioned earlier about going for conferences and all of that, but what does business development and funding, looking for funding, right, look like for a platform like DPD Online?
So in terms of business development, typically who are our clients? So let me also highlight DPD Online is not our only platform. We're already building a sister platform called Manage Medics, which is a platform that will offer flexible, reliable staffing solutions to hospitals, right? So if you want a doctor on demand, you're in hospital A, you need a doctor, right? You just go to the platform, look for the doctors closest to you, who has the time and everything, who can work as locum, right, in your hospital, then use it. So that's something we are building for the clinical side. So in essence, we're
Wow.
targeting both non-clinical and clinical side. Now, to your question, so business development for us is always all about one, forming strategic alliances with a lot of our partners um, um, and our clients. So on the client side, our clients are typically development partners who have a high recurring project needs. So if I know USAID has is going to be implementing this for the next 5 years, that's our typical partner, right? And so we have to engage in meetings with them, showing our value proposition, why they should use us. If we have to sponsor conferences, we have to sponsor them. If we have to attend conferences, we have to attend those conferences. If we have to have a booth or a stand in a conference, we have to do that, right? We also a key client of ours is private sector organizations who have CSR initiatives. So those are Access Bank. At the end of the day, in third quarter, when they want to start implementing a lot of CSR initiatives, those are times we have to engage with them. So that's area to go to engage them. And so, do we have a bank account at Access Bank? Oh yes. Do we have a bank account at Zenith Bank? Oh yes. So you have to look at those things very well in terms of that. We also look at, you mentioned funding. So for us, VC funding is very important to us. We think that as a startup, we need to leverage startup funding properly. However, we would not do that just, whimsically, film it just in a very offhand manner. It has to be very intentional and deliberate. And so we are targeting a lot of VC firms, angel investors. We've been doing that since last year, right? Into a lot of incubators, accelerators. We have about 5 of them that I'm applying to this year, and so that's going to take a huge chunk of our Q1 activity. So for us, BD in this first quarter is a lot of legwork, networking, and strategic alliances. Also, we have to build alliances with a lot of the institutions like ASU, right? Conwa. So if you recall, during the the last administration, there's this new association that came up, Conwa, so it's Congress of Nigerian University Academics, as a rival platform to ASU. So now we have to engage two platforms, ASU and Conwa. For the clinical platform, we have to engage Nigerian Medical Association, Nigerian Nursing and Midwifery Council, Nigerian Association of Nurses and Midwives, and also the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. So those are some of the things we need to work on this year. That's what it means for us. Over.
Awesome. I really have to say that I've been on the platform personally, and if I weren't told, I wouldn't assume that the platform is just three, or DPD Online as a solution is just 3 years old. What you guys are building is awesome, and more grease to your elbow. So, what's the future, nearest future, the far future for DPD Online? What's on the pipeline? Next 5 years, what are you looking at? I also have a personal question, but go on this first before I ask the other question.
Okay. So in the next 5 years, I mean, for us, the short answer will be, oh, we want to build out even more than what Upwork is doing. But by 2028, we believe that our platform should become a significant source of primary and complementary income for over 200,000 technical talents in Africa, and a major player in Africa's alternative labor market. What that means is, for our teaming university lecturers in Africa, right, they need to be on this platform, getting alternative sources of income, right, or complementary income, which means they might earn in dollars or in naira in Nigeria, in addition to their basic salaries. Is there a need to jackpot? No, not necessarily, right? We believe that we by 2028 we should have become an intellectual hub where everybody who's working in the development space can showcase their talent, even source for their own clients themselves, while this platform sits in the back end, providing them with tools. Nothing stops a lecturer from sourcing for and managing their grants on our platform, while we are we're just a platform. That's what we want to do. So you have a situation where this becomes the intellectual hub of Africa, right? So anybody that needs this technical talent, you come here. I need someone with serious Python skills that can develop this. I'm going to DPD Online to look for this person. A university is trying to manage an endowment for a grant and everything. I mean, with a foundation abroad, but the foundation abroad sees DPD Online as a reputable platform and says, "Oh, we will only give you this money if DPD Online is involved. If DPD Online is a platform for managing the funds." That is it. That is so. In essence, it becomes intellect and talent, the management of it, the fiduciary responsibility, and all that. That's what this platform should be, right? So that's what we want to be in the next 6 years, thereabouts.
Awesome, awesome. I'm pretty sure we'll have another session where we talk to have these conversations, and then I'm going to hold you to all these plans that you've told the world that you have for DPD Online. But as an aside, just on a lighter note, I don't know if it's a lighter note, but what advice would you have for founders who are looking to face their solutions squarely? When I mean squarely, I mean it as their only source of income. I want to put all my energy into this. Like you mentioned about business development, all of those things you mentioned are stuff that take time. You're going to this meeting, you're going back from this meeting. So I hear founders say, I want to quit my job to face this squarely. What advice would you give a startup founder that's, say, 3 years into the game? Would you quit? Would you say, oh yeah, quit and face this? If you don't face this squarely, you may not be able to build it as far as you want to. Or would you say manage it side by side until it's profitable enough to fund your lifestyle? What do you say
So,
to that?
I mean, there's an idealistic answer and there's a realistic answer.
Mm-hmm.
So For those who, if you listen to a lot of what you hear from the West, from a lot of Western countries, they tell you, oh, quit your job, do this, do that. But they have a safety net, right, in those countries. Right? If you fail, the stigma and the time you take to bounce back might not be that much, right? So it's easy to quit your job or even drop out completely. But for the African startup founder, this is my own experience. So I would say, first, solve problems that are complementary to your skill set or your background or where you are. Solve problems. If you think that if you have ideas, filter them. Let's say I'm working in an NGO, for example, and have public health background. It don't make sense for me to jump into a fintech app, right? To start innovating. That's away
Yeah.
from my skill set. So look for complementary skill set. Look for complementary industry that fits your context. That's the first thing. Why I say that, that's because when you start innovating, right, then it becomes easier to do consulting in that area aside your startup. For us, while we're building this, I could still consult in the same industry, right? Because I'm married, I have children. My children, my kids don't know about startups. They don't want to hear about startups. Are you providing? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Are you paying school fees?
Yeah.
So it has to be a way for it to make sense for you because it's not an easy journey. So you have to configure it such that it's easy for you. It's not hard. But the easier approach is not to quit your job. You have to be methodical about it. So look for the complementary industry. That's one. Before you leave, at least give yourself 6 months. Is your idea having traction? Is your idea gaining traction? Do you think your idea can sustain you even 6 months after you've left? For me, I designed something. I got a project that could last me 6 months after I've left my primary organization. So that was easy for me. So you have to be strategic about it because the economic issues might not get easier, especially considering the new administration. It might not get easier. So that elasticity for you to leave your job, fail, run back to your, it might not be there anymore. Do you understand? So
Yeah.
I would say it requires founders to be very realistic about the environment. Realistic is the word. Over.
Yeah. When passion is pushing you, also use your brain so that you don't end up running back to where you're coming from. I was speaking with a
Yeah.
founder recently, and then he was talking about how the money in development is not so much. He was talking about it from the NGO aspect, right? So it was like, it looks like I'm going to have to go get another job because pushing this thing and pushing Sakpa wants to end my life, and then I've had to reduce the quality of life from before I started this to currently, and I've been doing this for like 5 years. I'm not making any headways. So, what you said is really important. Do your calculation. If you're going to leave for 6 months to face your solution, what else is going to be bringing money on the side? Because, like you said, the economy realities right now, inflation is not even joking at all. Before you enter a
Mm-hmm.
mall, you have spent 30K. You can't even find what you spent the money on, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much for that, Emeka. Any final
Mm-hmm.
words before we open the platform for people to ask questions about DPD Online or any other thing they want to find out? Please, if you have any questions, you can just raise your hand, signify. I will give you the mic. I think we'll take two questions. You can ask anything as regards DPD Online, or if you have a personal question for Mr. Emeka, is here to take your questions. All right, any closing remarks, closing words for us? Where can we find you as well? Your Twitter handle, your LinkedIn handle, DPD Online as well. Where can we find you? What's the link to accessing DPD Online? Just give us all of that stuff.
Okay, so to your friend who says there's no money in development, I don't know what development is talking about, but the development space in Africa is worth over 200 billion annually dollars, right? Um, Now the market, if you look at the market for technical assistance, which is the aspect that requires our skill sets, right? Either do some data analysis, do some um, data collection or training, and all that is over $10 billion annually. Now, but then the problem is that it is driven by personal relationships. It is driven by it is um driven by a lot of retainerships, so repeated transactions. So they rather work with those they know. So you have to break into a circle, right? So, but then the development space is quite profitable, and it's a bigger problem. Most development partners or clients like to work with the small subset, the small circle of existing development partners, right? So you're having a recycling of people in development in NGOs. So somebody can decide to leave one NGO and in 6 months and go to another NGO and go to another NGO. So you're crisscrossing like that. So for us, we're trying to widen that market. So you're not depending on a small set of talent. That's as if I mean feedback to your guy or to your friend. So what the talent needs to do is to innovate him in his skill sets. What is your existing skill set? What skill does the market require? Do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? Do you understand? So you cannot complain about the system if you yourself are not fit for the system. So that's on the side. Now, where can you find us? You can find us. Our website is dpdonline.ng. We're revamping our website. So if you go to the website now, you'll probably see um, materials there or content there that is going to be taken down very soon. But nonetheless, it's still good educational material, but we try to innovate with the time. So we try to change things over time. Right? We also the other website is managemedics.ng. So manage is MANAGED, managemedics.ng. I'm on Instagram, Manuel Azubuike. I'm on Twitter, same name, Manuel Azubuike, MANUEL, Manuel AZUBUIKE. Right? You can send me an email. My email is Emeka at DPD Emeka EMEKA at DPDonline.ng. So you can shoot me an email if you have any issue requests and all that or clarification, and I'll respond to you. Over.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. I don't know if we have any questions. We'll take just two if we have any. So please, if you want to ask Mr. Emeka any questions as regards everything that was discussed today, you can just signify by raising your hands. I've had cases where after the meeting, people came to me in my DMs to ask questions. Please, I'm not Mr. Emeka. I can't describe the solution the way he has. I will not have answers to your questions. So if you have any, please just ask them now. Otherwise, I don't see any hands raised. I
Okay.
think that's about it. Can you read us your email address again in case someone wants to reach you
Okay.
by email?
It says EMEKA Emeka
Okay.
at DPD online, one word, dpdonline.ng.
Mm-hmm. .ng.
Yeah,
Yeah, .ng, not .com. So let's take note
.ng.
of that. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Emeka. This has been an enlightening session.
Somebody
All
has
of
just raised his hand.
okay. Read one. You have the floor. You can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. Thanks for the initiative.
I'm not sure we can hear you
Hello.
very well, so you want to project your voice.
Can you?
Hello. Can you, if you can you type also? Can you type?
Okay, okay.
Yeah, you can just type in your question. Okay, so while he's doing that, Mr. Emeka, you said you have kids and you're married as well. What else do you do for fun aside from running DPD online, being a medical doctor, being a consultant? So many hats you're wearing. What else do you do to release that stress?
So I watch a lot of football. I'm an Arsenal fan.
Ah,
Um, um, I'm preparing for the Nations Cup, so I think it's going to take away a lot of my stress. So sad that DSTV might not be showing it. So we have to do free
yeah.
to pay per view. I want to start playing golf,
Okay.
right? I do want to start playing golf. I hear it's a thinking man's game. you get to think a lot. You get to reason, think in very strategic ways. While playing golf. So I want to start that, but also as a means to meet very influential people who have my money, right? So
I
I
was
want
going
to
to
start.
say that actually that playing golf is the big man sport, and that's where you meet and network with a lot of movers and shakers. And then you should join clubs as well. There are notable clubs around the nation: the Ikoyi Club, the Benin Club. Every state I think
Mhm.
has a club, and that's where you meet people who govern things around that state. So
Exactly. I mean, growing up, my family was part of a Papa Club, right? But I stopped going after I think secondary school. So I mean, I should join. I should join a club in Abuja here.
okay, so read one is saying that he heard you speak about in the business and on the business earlier.
Mm.
So can you throw more light on that?
And thank you, Riwan, for that question. That's a very important question. I think it's something that people don't realize its impact on time because it's a stressor, right? Working in the business, I'm giving that example I mentioned where I have a background in development. I am building a development app or platform. So what I'm doing, my calling and my platform are complementary. But I have a family that has to feed. If I focus on building the app, right, and focus on that without even doing consulting, right, my family will starve. So I have to work in the business, which is consult, do a lot of other things that might be unrelated to the business. But the good thing is that because DPD and DPD online are intertwined, when I'm working in the business, it is for my DPD, right? And so I do consulting, I do a lot of work, I write proposals, I write this, I do technical assistance. It's for DPD. That's working in the business. Ideally, I should have a team of experts. For example, Agatha here can be a climate change lead or sustainability lead. Somebody else can be a lead in education. What then happens is when there's a proposal, I say, okay, Agatha, who wants to take a stab on this? Everything that has to do with climate change, Agatha is the one managing this. I'm not the one doing anything in that regard, right? So that I can work on the business, which is marketing, business development, alliances, right, and those other things. Do you understand? But if you work in on the business, if you work in the business and on the business, it takes away the time you can spend on working on the business, which will make you move faster. So the ideal thing is to have a way to sort of manage all that. And as we grow, I see myself working more on the business than in the business. So what that means is, say we get funding, say things start working very well. So I take a salary from the money the business makes by itself, right? Without me having to hustle for that money, right? So because things are now, we have a grant we are working on. We have a grant that takes care of salaries for the next 2 years. So every month I know that this how much I should take from working on the business. But working in the business means if we don't work to get these grants, write this proposal, we no go chop, right? That's the difference. So at the early stages, as a founder, you do both things. You work in the business, you work on the business. But if you do those things, you won't grow faster. And so the ideal thing is to work in the business and on the business early on, so that you can then move to working on the business alone. That transition is important for you to move faster without a lot of baggage and things bringing you down over.
Thank you so much, Emeka. I'm going to actually go back and listen on this distinction you've made about in the business and on the business because it
Somebody
seems
has somebody has somebody has raised hands again.
okay. Okay. Um, who's that? I think Oluwakemi. Hi. Yeah, you have the floor. Please go ahead.
Hello, Agatha. Hello, Dr. Azubuike. Good
Good afternoon.
evening, and thank you. It's been great listening to you.
Thank you.
And thank you for providing clarification on a number of things on the platform. I'm
Okay,
glad
thank you.
that DPD has moved a step further, and it's going to be great working with you and also letting some other experts too get to know about this. I was
Okay.
not disappointed. I had to cut off on another engagement to join in to the program, and I really am happy about what I've heard so far. I just have
Thank
one
you.
or two questions to ask. A bit of a clarification. You mentioned collaboration with funders and NGOs. Are you intending to help your clients get fund from international donors, international NGOs, and so on? That is one question I wanted to give me some clarification on. Then number two, sometimes clients bring is one of the things you said the experts on the platform will be able to do. Write concept notes, maybe a client, maybe a donor approach one of your clients. Okay, bring your concept note. Let's see if we can give you a grant. So how do you handle the issue of non-disclosure in this matter? Those are the two questions I have for now.
Okay, so to the first question, so yes, we see ourselves helping smaller NGOs get grants from larger NGOs, right? I mean, we don't have much leverage and leeway when it comes to the larger NGOs. So I won't help USAID get money from Congress, right? But I can, if a smaller NGO, say XYZ Foundation, is trying to get money from USAID and they need expertise to write a grant proposal and they want to outsource it to us, good and fine, we can help them. In the area of the second question about non-disclosure and all that concept notes, so on the platform, if you we have a terms of use and a privacy policy, right? So everything that we have if once you sign up on our platform and you have read those terms and conditions, automatically you are bound by it. We are also bound by whatever terms and conditions our clients have. And so we cannot then, once we've written a concept note, then circumvent or go out to solicit or discuss with another client, right? On that, that's going to be unprofessional. I'll give you a practical example. So we the job I mentioned we got when we were starting the platform. I mentioned I got a job while I was transitioning from an NGO, right? I had a skill set. The NGO who got the grant didn't have the skill set, but I chose to to work under them. So while they get the fame and publicity, I just want money. And I signed that non-disclosure agreement with them. So what that means is this part of that agreement entailed that you cannot publish anything without our permission. Check. You cannot write anything, put it on your website without our express permission. Check. You're fine, right? Um, if you have to write anything, we have to be co-authors. That's fine, right? So those kind of things are things you agree on initially. But as we started building the platform, we started incorporating those things, those rules on our platform. So we have a non-circumvention policy on the platform. We have a non-circumvention, non-disclosure. We have we have all that on the platform, right? So once you sign up with us and you check those boxes, it's incumbent on us and you to ensure that you comply. So if that we notice that there's a breach, our legal takes action. Over.
Awesome. Mrs. Oluwakemi, I hope that was able to answer your question. Are you
Yes,
satisfied with that?
thank I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Emeka. I, based on the responses you're giving to people, I'm actually intrigued. What do you read? What kind of books would you recommend for people to read, especially around?
I lost you a bit. I heard book. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me here?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
I can hear you.
Okay, it seems Agatha's network is having issues. So I think she mentioned something about what I recommend as reading materials. So yeah, Agatha, you've joined. So I think you mentioned about
Sorry,
what
my
books.
network is at it again. But can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
So I was asking as a final question, what books you read, what books you recommend for everyone trying to build skill and capacity, especially in the development phase. What YouTube channels you can recommend to us? Just share that if you can.
So first of all, so for those who are interested in the startup world, I always recommend YC, Y Combinator WhatsApp and YouTube channel. You get a lot of startup insights from there. For development space, uh, you get a lot of materials online. So a lot of influencers. I think there's a lot of guys you can follow, right? Who can give you insights. So I think there's Tammy. I can't remember her phone number. Tammy is an influencer in development space. Agatha is also an influencer in development space. In terms of books, I read a lot of um, uh, fiction, right? A bit of non-fiction, but fiction, non-fiction. I read a lot of biographies of people who have done it before. I believe that's a better source of information than somebody who has not done it before writing a book. I want to see the life of the person. I want to know that person has done it. So a lot of biographies, right? A lot of books on startups, right? So I'm reading one now, which I think is a very good one. So it's called the Blue Ocean Strategy, which I think is a lot of people have probably read. It's a very good book. I have a library. I like collecting books. So the books, if I'm going to read a book next year, I probably have collected a book in my library this year. This book I bought in 2018. I'm just reading it now. So I collect books a lot and to read at my leisure time. I I read a lot of papers. So if you don't have time to read books, you can read papers, right? It's very very important. You can read a lot of papers. It summarizes a lot of things for you, right? Especially in the development space. The papers that are very good. Some of them are then morph into a book, right? So you read a lot of papers. Um, Medium, Medium, very 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 fantastic for a lot of insights. It's important for people to document their experiences, and you get a lot of insights from people's experiences. You know, yeah. But most importantly, I think the best way to grow in this space is by doing. That's how I see it. Yeah, over.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Emeka. It's been 1 hour and 30 minutes of just learning and unlearning. So thank you so much. I appreciate. So everyone on this call and then some other people that will be watching this episode will be posted. It will premiere on YouTube tomorrow, most likely, at best, maybe Monday or worst rather. So you can always refer back to YouTube to watch everything, especially for those that joined in late. The recording will be posted on YouTube tomorrow or at most Monday. So thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you, Mr. Emeka. We've
Thank
been
you.
at this since last year, actually. So thank you for making the time to join us on here. I really hope that by the time we're coming back on next time, DPD Online would have gotten the recognition it deserves, right? Because the solution is not just known by the solution itself, but the person building it or the people building it. And from what I've heard this evening, there's a lot of substance behind the solution. So I hope that as the months are rolling on, the investors in need, everything that needs to align for DPD Online to take flights, would everything will come together perfectly. So thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much.
everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Work starts on Monday for some people. So rest well this weekend. The holiday is over. All right. Thank you, everyone that joined
Thank
in.
you.
Have a
Thanks.
good evening. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye bye.